Hi, my name is Daimara Baker. You pronounce it Daimara, like the movie Die Hard. That's an easy way to remember. I really represent two organizations. Originally, I was the founder of Community Creative Center here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Currently, I have a Broken Baker Academy that is a very innovative way to use culinary arts to teach those kids who are on the autism spectrum to gain the skills to get a job. But I also represent Right to Start, that is an advocacy group that we are really focused on removing the red tape for small businesses so that we can facilitate launching businesses here in Arkansas. And I strongly believe that arts and technology are the way to continue growing the economy in our state, of course.
Thank you so much. You may be our first culinary person. So thank you so much for being here and representing the entire state in the culinary arts.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's wonderful. We appreciate it. Next on the list is Jen Gerber at Hot Springs Doc Fest.
Hi, so thank you all. So I'm happy to be here. My name is Jennifer, and I'm the executive director of the Hot Springs Documentary Film Festival. If you're not familiar, we're the longest running all documentary film festival in North America, and very proud of our legacy and the work that we're able to do here in Arkansas. I also work with Low Key Arts, and I run their Inception to Projection filmmaking program, and have been teaching and making films in the state for the last 8 years. And I have certainly, when it comes to the intersection of arts and technology, that is core to everything that I feel like that I do, which is developing stories and storytellers, and then training these storytellers to use the technology to express their ideas. And then ultimately we create opportunities to showcase these ideas and these films within the various festivals that I work with. So I certainly believe strongly and have given my life to this craft. And I've been really honored to be part of the filmmaking scene in Arkansas. You know, and as we look to the future, I think sort of the most important things, and a lot of these things are already in motion, is just protecting these tax incentives so that we can continue to attract filmmakers, continue to train qualified crews. So when filmmakers come here, they have resources right here in our state. And that way also allows people that are interested in this field to be able to work and have a satisfying and fulfilling career right here in Arkansas. So those are the things we're trying to do between the Hot Springs Documentary Film Festival and the filmmaking program at Low Key Arts. And it's been a real joy to see all these programs flourish year after year.
Thank you so much. And so next on our list, we have Jake Herzog from Fayetteville.
Well, hey everybody, it's a delight to be here. I'm so glad I could finally make one of these. This is an amazing thing that you are all doing, and I'm delighted that it's happening and delighted to be a part of it. So I'm a jazz musician, guitarist by trade. I've done a lot of work all over the music industry, and I currently am the director of our jazz program here at the University of Arkansas, and will be the director of the music industry program as we bring that online. A lot of my work on our faculty has been involved in sort of the contemporary side of higher music education and jazz, pop music, music industry, music business, and so forth. So we've been aggressively trying to build our curriculum in that area. But a lot of what I'm interested in is sort of I see the higher education sector is really having a lot to contribute to the growth of the creative economy here in Arkansas, and trying to figure out how we build those connections toward talent retention, attraction in form of both students and professionals, and really how we help drive that industry has become more. Oh, did I cut out? Did something?
Yes. Yes.
You just pretend I said something amazing and profound. Too bad it didn't get on the tape.
Oh, I'm sure you'll send it to me.
Yeah, I think as the entertainment business has become more technology dependent, especially in both major companies and small companies, I look to that as inspiration for how we can get closer to teaching those in those areas, and also to training folks, training that next generation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so next on our list, we're going to go with Riley Nicholson at SONA. Hi, friend.
Hey, thanks for inviting me to join. So I'm also in Northwest Arkansas. I'm the executive director of the Symphony of Northwest Arkansas, also known as SONA. I moved here about a year ago to move back to my home state of Arkansas and lead the orchestra. And of course, you know, we've had to rely on technology more than ever to reach our audiences this year. You know, at first thought, you think, what does technology have to do with classical music when it's all acoustic? But of course, this year, more than ever, we've had to explore all kinds of ways to reach people. And I think that's not just a stopgap for us, but something that we want to continue to explore. And that has so many implications for the future, from funding and how we're going to, you know, it's made sense this year because that's been our only option. But how, if we want to continue this, what does the funding model look like? And also other things we've been thinking about is it's been great that we've reached so many people, and we've been proud that we've released all of our digital content for free, which has accessibility implications. But you know, we can't pat ourselves on the back too soon. We have to think about, okay, well, they're more accessible because they're free, but not everybody has access to them. So there's a lot of I don't know if I have any answers, but a lot of thoughts around how do we make sure that our content's actually reaching people, you know, who might not have access to them, to broadband and whatnot. Yeah, there's also, you know, implications with education and how we reach our students. I think there's a lot of possibilities to expand our reach beyond the people we're able to physically reach, because historically that's been the school districts with the most infrastructure that we can latch onto, which yet again has more accessibility problems and who we're reaching. So that's some of the things that are on my mind as we think about how technology influences what we're doing at SONA, and how we reach both audiences and students.
Thank you so much. Sorry, my cursor went off screen, so I couldn't unmute myself fast enough. Okay, so moving forward, we did have someone join us, but we're going to go ahead to stick with the alphabet. Mark Payne, you are next.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Mark Payne. I'm an artist and an educator at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, where I've been teaching for about 3 years now. My goal as an artist and a teacher is to kind of like explore communications, like through technology. Communication and technology can help aid Arkansas in contemporary discussion about art and its production. Technology allows an artist to explore multiple variations of artwork faster and economically than traditional means. For example, a sculpture, drawing, or painting can be a file on a computer waiting to be made with a 3D printer, laser cutter, and CNC machine. So like I try to encourage my students or anybody like in art, like making world, to kind of like basically to condense like stuff into digital, like to like a digital means, because like I believe in like not wasting like space, and like once you like produce a series of bodies of work, then you can kind of like send that like sculpture over like the email and kind of like get like feedback through other people. And it's like very like, and nowadays it's easy to do, like since COVID and other things that kind of like got in our way. So yeah, I really enjoy like technology and kind of like basically helping or teaching my students. And I guess that's
Okay,
all.
well, thank you. I don't know what happened, but it happens, right? Technology. Well, I'm happy to be here. My name is Maria Marta Botti Villegas. I'm originally from Argentina, but I've been in the States, in Alvarado for around 30 years. I am an artist in residence, a multidisciplinary artist, and a muralist, and I love educating. And I think technology is important because it communicates our ideas with the world. And I work here at the South Arkansas Center also. So I have an opportunity to talk to the executive director of the South Arkansas Center. And they are planning big things with technology. I didn't know. So that was good. They are going to offer, for example, we have two sides of education we do in South Arkansas. We do Artists in Residence, AIE program from the Arkansas Arts Council. And we also do at the Academy for the Arts, and I've been part of the Academy for the Arts for 25 years. But they want to create coding classes as artists in residence in the schools. We offer graphic design, but we don't offer coding. She would love, Laura, she would love to create coding, and we are going to have at the Art Center another class that is publication. So that class will be for 6th grade up, and it's going to happen. There is already a teacher, classes will start in September. And this is interesting because they will teach the kids when they have an idea for a service, for a campfire, for something they would like to implement, they will know how to do it. They will create brochures, or they will publish, they will talk to people, they communicate. It will be wonderful. So here in the South, we are trying to get technology hooked with art. In my case, I am a painter, I am a visual artist, I used to be a dancer, but last year, as you may know, with the COVID, I was not going to school. So between last year and this year, I've done 100 videos. So those 100 videos were the only way I communicate with the kids. And that helped me a lot and helped my kids know that you can be an entrepreneur. You can publish your work. You can do virtual shows. I've done virtual workshops, and I am in a gallery in Oregon with a virtual show, group show. So I think that art technology is our future, but it can be our present. And we need to find a way technology is in all the counties, in a way that we can tell the kids that this art, that is a solving problem activity, doesn't have to be related to numbers only. It's creativity. So creativity is everywhere. Numbers is in nature too, but there is a little, sometimes, a stereotype that numbers are only for engineers or for other people, not for art. So I'm very excited about this project that we have here in South Arkansas, the Arkansas Art Center. I wish we could continue growing with this, but I'm very excited.
Circling back to music education, one way that students can get excited about music is to be able to play around with production software. And so the more we could have that in schools, the better, whether that be a resource in the library or as part of the band program. I don't know the best way to deploy that. But whether that be GarageBand or something for high schools, that might be something more complicated like Logic or some professional or Pro Tools, some professional production suites, so that kids can start making their own music I've before I was in this current position, I taught piano for a long time, and piano students would get really excited about recording themselves, and you could do this with an iPad, recording themselves on the piano and then layering a track in GarageBand with it, and they make their own song. And now suddenly they feel like they're a composer and they're more engaged with their music lessons. So there's just all kinds of opportunities for students to have a way in through technology to music. And then when sometimes a instrument seems daunting, right? But an iPad or a computer seems less daunting because that's they're used to it. So anyway, a long way to say more access to music production software for students could get kids really excited.
Well, and I'm going to absolutely support what you're saying, because this past year I got to be my 6-7-year-old grandson's teacher, and they used Quaver. And quite honestly, as you were talking, I went, oh my God, he went bonkers over when he got to pull in the tracks and create the music and dance around to it. And of all the things, it was intuitive for him. It was almost no learning curve because he couldn't get any help from me, quite honestly. I mean, I could help him like with the buttons on the computer, but I know nothing about music. And he absolutely loved it. And I'm going to find out. I'm not even sure if that was free to the school or if they paid a fee for it. I have no idea. Do you have any idea about Quaver and how the school even had us access it as like grandparent teachers? I'm going to look into that, because it could not have been expensive or they couldn't have been using it. And it was just crazy phenomenal. You're right. He absolutely loved it. Well, back from that rabbit that I just chased. Who else is going to jump in? Jake?
Sure. So one thing that's close to my heart that is sort of a combination of trends I see in Arkansas is really just establishing more state level funding for students interested in the creative fields as in higher ed and as professional things. So my general concerns with Arkansas is that Arkansas needs to get, am I cutting out? Arkansas needs to get more of its population into college in the first place. And of those folks that do take 2- and 4-year degrees, the temptation is almost always out of the arts, especially people looking to pay back student loans or make a living in a business career, a finance career, whatever career. So I would like to see us do a 180 compared to the UK right now and increase funding for specifically for creative folks pursuing higher education, because I think that can help us counterbalance the natural tendency of so many people to say, oh, I wish I could major in graphic design, but I can't afford it. Or I wish I could major in music or film or dance or theater, but I can't afford to take that chance. And I say that we're going to lose a lot of our potential talent if we don't help them take that chance.
Maria?
Yes, I have cases of parents who don't see the future for a kid being a graphic designer. I have a case of a kid that we talked through virtual videos in one of my classes in high school, a lot of contemporary art, and he is fabulous. He's fantastic. He even gave me the name of the software to use as a Photoshop. And the guy is good in biology, for example. But because the mother thinks that art is for an elite and art is for people who already have income and they will not be making any income other than teachers, she is not letting him take the class this year, and she's putting him in more welding, which is a wonderful profession. But it's the mindset of the parents that think that art means struggling people. So I think that I would like to find a way to educate parents and administrators, trying to see what is the vision of the creativity. I think we need to base our speech in creativity, as you say, guys, Jacob and Riley. creativity. Art really pushes that part of the brain that connects everything. It has done to me. I'm not saying that I am what I'm saying it should be done, but I'm saying that it has given me a reason to change my life. When you modify things in your work, you modify things in life. So I think that if we could find a reason for the administrators to look for an interaction between biology, between technology, between other things and art, really, because there's a lot of studies, but it's not implemented, at least here in Arkansas. The other thing is we need to empower kids that maybe that don't want to be in academics, but want to make a living. And for example, with this publication class, many girls that come from a home that, for example, one of my students, she graduated honor, and she's a fabulous artist. Her mother wants for her to be a nurse. A nurse, why? Because it's only 2 years and she can make a living and she can pay her loan. Actually, she will not pay anything because we have a system here in El Dorado, the Murphy system. So people, when they finish high school, they have a lot of scholarship already paid by this system. So we need to, and this girl who is going to nursing school, who have gone to many other things in art, but there is not enough push to integrate this way of being an entrepreneur. In my case, when I finished thousands of years ago in Argentina, my fine arts degree, I also did packaging, right? So I have to learn how to do the graphic design by myself. I did packaging in a cosmetological company. I do my business card. I have to learn Illustrator. And also I ended up being an art leader. But it doesn't have to be to all the people that you know. But what about the entrepreneurial heart of people? How can we access that part, telling that creativity and technology stimulates that entrepreneurial part of our youth that is still sleepy, looking for a conventional degree? I think we need to be unconventional if we are going to do something.
Jake, are we
I'd
going
like to see us invest in ambassadors more heavily, almost in the way that some other states and European countries do, like various artistic ambassadors from Arkansas. We send them out all over the place. We pay for them to do cool things all over the place. And if you do that long enough with enough people, word gets out that this is the place to be. And it's like the soft power thing. And I think we have plenty of talent, but we don't market it. So I would say another wish I would have is to kind of deploy the creative ambassadors that all over the place that we can, just to spread that message and to create the image of Arkansas as a place where arts and creativity and is thriving. And that doesn't have to be painting or cooking or something. That can be tech entrepreneurs, that can be software, that can be the 3D printing thing someone mentioned earlier. But we have all this talent, but we're not marketing it very well. We're not branding it very well. I think the example everybody talks about when Austin, Texas, well, they just decided they were the live music capital of the world, and then they made it happen. It wasn't the other way around. And so I think a little bit of chutzpah in that area with this legislation would be pretty cool.
Well, and to that point, I think that one of the reasons why we started with this statewide survey is because we were pretty confident that even though we had a fair awareness of what was going on in arts in Arkansas, in reality, we have learned so much, and certainly communicating to the legislators the wealth of what we have here. I did want to follow up with one quick question. which was, what was the UK model?
This has just been in the news. The UK government has cut funding towards certain kinds of creative majors in their well, everything's public, but their universities there, and of course lots of artists and musicians are not too thrilled about that, as you might imagine. But I don't know enough about it to say more than that, but I can send an article or something.
Daimara, you wanted to join in?
Yes, I do. Thank you for the opportunity. I would like to address also about the entry cost to launch businesses. I mean, we know that all of these artists at one point they will want to become entrepreneurs, but I would say that we have a huge opportunity to facilitate that transition. For example, is there any way to facilitate subsidizing some of the entry cost taxes and permits and licenses that you have to pay when you're not making any money? At the beginning, it's going to be really hard for them to make a profit. Is there any way to subsidize that period when you are learning how to launch a business so that you are en route to be able to become successful in that area? The other one is the technical support. You know, here we're talking about somebody can be a great illustrator, but maybe that person doesn't know how to market himself or herself. So that person, we need marketing expertise to be able to do that. Also, they're going to need some bookkeeping. That when you're trying to launch a business, it's going to be really hard to pay someone to do all of those services for you. So do we have an opportunity here to provide those services for free, let's say for 6 months, 1 year, until they are on the feet, so that they are really in the right path to become successful as an artist, a musician, or whatever direction they want to take?
To that point, and it's wonderful that you hit on both the marketing and the bookkeeping, because of course our conversation is arts based, and yet if we just draw back the lens a little bit, there would be a substantial business opportunity for someone who is a bookkeeper who is willing to do the books for a number of arts organizations, all using the same software. We all run into the same difficulties of trying to do it. Most of us don't write an enormous amount of checks, and it would be a wonderful business opportunity for peripheral businesses to the arts. Obviously the marketing, the graphic design, etc. And so we are absolutely keeping a gaze upon the idea of associated industries and the associated small business opportunities that are out there, very frequently within the two-year colleges, for example, where somebody would get the skills that would be able, certainly with the bookkeeping. I'm talking about common bookkeeping. I'm not talking about accounting, at the high end level. So that's a great point, Daimara. Who else would like to jump in? And do we have Jennifer? Yes?
Sure, I'll jump in. Sorry, just catching up a little bit here, but yeah, I guess like a big dream and something we're trying to work towards, at least here in Hot Springs, and we're ways out from it, but I'm certainly starting to dream about a film center where there's a really concentrated area for training, for screening, for hosting guest artists, that just has a pool of resources all in one place. I feel like a lot of our schools have these resources, but if someone is maybe wanting to make a career change, or they're not in college or in a school, it's really hard to get those resources available. So that's something we're working towards with the programs I'm part of, but definitely that's a dream I'd love to see eventually take shape, where there's computer labs, equipment, and real resources to cultivate creative energy around the film industry.
You mentioned something that I wanted to drill into a little bit. You said earlier about the crew, basically the film support and the state. A lot of people around the state saying, we don't have the crew to work the films, etc. Can you be specific? I've heard sound. Okay, so I already know sound is on the table. I got that one loud and clear. That seems to be a biggie across the board. But what are some of these other crew positions that you think would be filled?
Yeah, and what's so fun about film is that you can come from a lot of other disciplines and still play a part in a film project, whether it's through music or production design, which is very art-based, costume, wardrobing, all those different departments. You know, on a traditional size movie, even fairly low budget, most crew sizes are around 60 people that are working for 6 to 8 weeks at a time. And so having as many of those people that are working in, whether it's the lighting, camera department, obviously sound, art department, wardrobe, and then just producing, like the logistics of putting on a film production. Where is everyone eating? Where are they sleeping? Where are they parking? Like those aspects of filmmaking. And it attracts a lot of different disciplines, obviously actors as well. So I think that's what can make it a really vital industry in Arkansas, because we can pull from other different disciplines and really create a collaborative opportunity for
You
artists
nailed
in
it. It's like,
Arkansas.
that's how do we get people to stay here? You make it so they can live here. And so that's the insurance, that's vision, that's dental, that's 401k, that's tax preparation. Those are like what are the union services, if you really unpack that? And are there some other kinds of ways that creatives of all types can be offered those services in a way that's compliant with not necessarily being a union where we shouldn't be, and also not giving people that binary choice where they're like, oh, well, I can go to New York and join the union, or I can stay in Arkansas and not have any union. Like that to me is a painful choice that folks are faced with. So what can we bake into this ask of our policymakers to ease that burden a little bit and say, no, you can be a painter here and get these services, and here's what you have to do?
Well, if you let me, I think that Arkansas has a very nice way of living. You cannot live in New York, you cannot live in Denver, Colorado. I mean, it's very expensive. So this should attract people here. I assume that with the pandemic, many people, and with the fires, for example, there are a lot of fires in Colorado too, but in California, I assume people are moving out. And I don't know, guys, if you in Northwest Arkansas have a lot of people coming from other states because of the way of living. So that should be an attraction. How can we attract interesting people to our state? What can we offer for them besides cafes, theater? What else? What else are we? What culture are we giving them? How can we attract them?
Yeah, I think that comes back to providing a sustainable career path as an artist. I've been this person, I've been in Arkansas, I grew up here and I've been back here for about 8 years, and I moved back here from New York. And for probably the first 6 years, I was like, I'm moving to LA, and I finally have decided I'm staying. But it took me almost that long to carve out my career path here, where I felt comfortable that I would have a path that I could count on and doing what I want to be doing. And there's not that many of those types of jobs. And so I think that's the biggest fear. Every time I bring people to Arkansas, they're like, this is amazing, I want to stay. But then envisioning how their career would adapt here, it takes a lot of commitment to wanting to stay here. So
in my case, as an artist, I need to show, I need to get quality gallery. Sometimes we don't have so many things, but in my case now, I'm showing virtually all over the United States if I apply and people like my work. So that really would be a good way to find a way for us to go as Arkansans and to receive. Mm-hmm. If we could offer something like that through technology.
So does anybody else want to weigh in on the big idea magic wand?
I feel like a common thread here is infrastructure support for both individual artists to create a sustainable living, and also for small businesses like Dayanara, sorry, I forgot how to pronounce her name, for small businesses and small nonprofits. So like we mentioned, it is we have a wonderful quality of life and cost of living scenario. So if we could provide infrastructure support, whether that be you know, operating support for nonprofits and small businesses, or tax incentives for startups, or some sort of support to help emerging artists get their career off the ground. The more opportunities we make, I think we open up that possibility for growth for both at the individual level and the organizational
more
level.
interdisciplinary within higher education, more coordination, collaboration. Do you all think that will be a benefit? It's necessary. Jake sent me the list of the higher ed with all of the curriculums in it. And we counted up, what, Jake, 91 that was just in fine arts, not covering everything that was in film and video and, you know, gaming, graphic design, you know, other disciplines, let alone the broader categories that are included in the creative economy. What do you think, what would be your ask of the higher ed department to help that?
I would say accessibility, and making sure that people have knowledge of those programs and that they can actually partake in them. They can afford to do it. I think that the affordability is probably a bigger obstacle than I even understand for a lot of folks, and that plays into diversity, equity, and inclusion goals, and which are systemic in the entertainment industry, much less in the educational side. So I would say that the accessibility of those, and that means knowledge and money. So neither one can work alone. You can't have scholarships if people don't know about what they can get a scholarship for, and you can't have a really amazing electronic app widget AI Surrey for creative careers if people go, wow, I want to do that, and then they can't afford to do it. So, but I'd like to see some infrastructure develop on that side, the digital side, the accessibility side, and until we get to that, like, hold up my phone, hey, where can I go to school for graphic design, and what scholarships can I get? And it just goes boom. Then we're not there yet, in my opinion. Any other thoughts?
For example, here in the South, Stephen Knox is the chair of the art department in Magnolia, SAU. And he told me that he wanted for you to know that they have several areas where art and technology come together. They offer a degree in game, animation, and simulation that includes programming, 3D modeling, character rigging, and 3D printing. And they also have photography and digital cinema and many other things. So how many people know that this college offers all these things here? So I think that, yes, maybe you are the only one. I think that we need to communicate that, because if a student would like to go and study all these things, where it will have to be probably go outside the state.
Yeah, but to your point, and of course I was being a wise guy about it, but the fact of the matter is I didn't know it until we began the survey. And so I had no idea that SAU had that. And the other thing I didn't know is that they also have an art therapy program.
Yes.
And so I was blown away. And by the way, imagine how thrilled Senator Elliott was, because guess what her alma mater is?
Oh.
I mean, know the answer, yes.
Oh.
So the reality is this whole project has been nothing but aha moments, really, quite frankly, for all of us. And it's that raising awareness. Now, all of you know that SAU has both an art therapy program and that whole laundry list of fabulous forward thinking that Maria just gave us. Anybody else want to jump in before we say?
Yeah, I'll answer that real quick. So I've taught quite a bit at the college level in Arkansas, and I think the students that find the programs, they come in it terrified because their families have said, well, how are you going to support yourself in this field? And a lot of them maybe don't even sign up for that because they're like, well, I'll take I'll do another major as a backup, but that doesn't really, to really be an artist, you can't do it. You kind of have to throw yourself into it. And so I think if there was a little more interaction between an educational institution and the working industry, that parents and kids would see a career path that's viable. Because there's a lot of fear when they enter these programs of just, how am I going to make money? How am I going to pay my student loans back? Am I going to be able to stay here? And like, they enter these programs with tremendous amount and leave them with tremendous anxiety. So I think the more that the industry can grow and interact with the higher ed education, it will help that process.
Well, and yes, and to that point, sometimes we also perpetuate the myth of the starving artist. And I'm not saying that it isn't a struggle. Any of us that have dabbled in any aspect of it are certainly not on easy street. However, we have all figured out a way, some of us for a very long time, to survive in these industries. And I think that's a really fair point in terms of how to phrase the dialogue. We are going to also, one of those interest-based focus groups is going to be workforce. Sandy is like the guru of workforce development, workforce development, workforce development. And so I can absolutely guarantee that we will be expanding on that theme and hammering that home, that these are actually really viable skills. I mean, I have never been without work. And so the fact of the matter is, if you're hardworking, I mean, you're going to work. And so we've all made it in these industries. We'll definitely bring that point home. Sandy, do you want to weigh in on anything else? Erin, anything?
Just the last thing I want to just mention is part of the product when we do the report and the recommendations. And if you go to our website at arkansans4thearts.org, you can see the little fact sheet. We intend to not only provide that report to the legislators and the governor, but also other entities like the Department of Higher Ed, Tourism, and the Arkansas Economic Development Commission. And that, Jen, to your point, getting businesses and industry and getting their attention, that's critical, because like, you know, what you've just said, that crossbreeding and that connection between the for-profit world and the nonprofit world, because I doubt it would be wonderful if we could say anybody that goes into a creative occupation, release them from their student debt. You know, it'd be great if we could get that. We know that that's not going to happen. But if there's a compromise between the two, help us provide infrastructure support or whatever it might be for the creative occupations, and support these industry centers like your digital production center, and ideas and concepts like that, innovation hubs, creative hubs, you know, those kind of centers. If we can get a combination of that, that might be a path forward to help all the creative industries in their foundation.
Well, and I'll jump in with one expanded thought there then. Okay, so for example, yesterday after I got off the phone with Dr. Bhattacharya, who is the inaugural Dean of Engineering Computer Science at Arkansas State University, and he is all about the intersection of art and technology. So I was like totally jazzed after the conversation with him. And I like to think both huge and then really small in terms of, well, gosh, what could I just do today? What could I actually accomplish? What could be done on a smaller scale? And so yesterday I looked up Arkansas Governor's School, and I saw the course listings that they have. And of course it's fabulous arts program. And they also now have natural sciences, and they have some other little explorations. They don't yet have technology. And so guess one of the tiny recommendations that could certainly be made. Why can't Governor's School add an art and technology component? They're already there. They're already doing it. They've been doing it for years. That's a very tiny recommendation that probably isn't even going to cost them anything to be able to add that little component. And then I said, all right, well, that's great for all the gifted and talented kids. What about all the kids that aren't in the gifted and talented program? I said, well, what about the Boys and Girls Clubs? So I encourage you to look around in your realms and both think huge and then think, well, gosh, there's a Boys and Girls Club down the street. So could we bring Quaver to that one Boys and Girls Club? Can we pilot project some fabulous idea that you have and experiment on a local scale? And as Nike would say, just do it.